I am so excited to announce that iDriveAClassic is now sponsored by Adrian Flux, one of the UK's leading classic car insurers. If you're looking for classic car insurance, I've popped a link to Adrian Flux in the description box below. Hi guys, it's Steph from iDriveAClassic and today I'm back and again we're doing a fantastic little French car and it's the Citroen AX. Now a lot of people know these because they were somebody's first car or just a bit of a run around to the shops, but when did you last see a Citroen AX, and especially a Citroen AX Chicago, because there are only two known examples left on the road and one of them is here with us today to test on the channel. So with lots of different special features and exciting little add-ons with it being a special edition, I'm going to make sure we show you all of those and also give you the true AX experience. So let's kick this video off by having a look around the outside. Last week we looked at the Citroen Visa, so it only made sense this week to look at the Citroen AX. And this isn't just any Citroen AX, this is a Citroen Special Edition, the AX Chicago. Now the AX first burst onto the scene as Citroen's first supermini in 1986 at the Paris Motor Show. So it came first of all as a 3-door before Citroen added a 5-door model in 1987. Now interestingly, this car wasn't launched in right-hand drive buying markets until 1987, and we first of all got the 3-door model before the 5-door joined the lineup in 1988. The car was given some really interesting promo activity to bring it into the competitive supermini market, which of course was well established by this point, and it included a trip along the Great Wall of China for the TV advertising campaign, and they did some posters to go with it as well, which are really good. You should definitely Google it, because this car was advertised back when car manufacturers had real fun with their advertising. Crazy things used to happen. Nowadays, it all just feels a little bit safe. Now, if you watched the Visa video last week, you'll have been struck by how wonderfully different the car was to everything else out there, whereas this car feels a little bit more sensible, which might be due in part to the fact it feels a little bit more Peugeot than that Citroen Visa did last week. And in fact, early plans for this car began way back in 1983, where it had briefly been discussed making this car a sister model to replace the Talbot Samba, because of course Peugeot and Talbot at that point, we kind of discussed that when we took out that Talbot the other week. But Peugeot, or PSA, saw the success of the 205 and said, well, actually we think that the AX will perform better under Citroen and give Citroen market share in that supermini space. And in fact, it was such a successful market candidate, it sold 2.5 million units during the production years of 86 through to 1998, which isn't a massive surprise when you consider what this car offered. The car, like the Visa it replaced, was massively aerodynamic, which allowed the 1-litre version of this car to achieve a fuel consumption of, wait for it, over 70 miles per gallon when driven at a steady speed of 56 miles per hour. And that was really, really good. Really, really good, because back then, and cars that it replaced really weren't matching up to that. It was incredible. Now, the car that we're testing today is the first generation. So the first generation ran from launch until 1991. And there were various options available. So you could have got a 1-litre 3 or 5-door hatchback, a 1.1 3 or 5-door hatchback in an RE, TGE, TRE, TRS and TZX spec, a 1.3, a 1.4 3 or 5-door hatchback in TRS, GT, TZS or TZX spec, and then on top of that they also did a 1.4 diesel, which was available in RD, TGD and DTR spec. Now the engine, as you've probably spotted when we get a look under that bonnet, is the PSA TU series belt-driven overhead cam setup. So that was used on quite a few different things. And although they've been used in a lot since the launch of this, it was in fact the AX at launch in 1986 which was the first car to carry that TU engine, and it had replaced the PSA X engine, which was discontinued fully in 1990. Now, these engine options and spec options ran through until second generation in 1991, and they were replaced with slightly different specs, but you did get the same engine options, although the lineup was joined by a 1.5 diesel option in May 1994. Of all the models and of all the variants, the diesel was very highly regarded and almost always the most favoured by buyers who did their research, because independent testers and reviewers found them not only to be highly economical within the range, but also one of the most economical small cars to buy new at the time. Now, production came to an end on the car when it was replaced by the Citroen Saxo. But if you're not a massive Citroen buff, you may not know, and this was a really interesting fact that I found out when I started looking up the AX and finding more about it, that Proton actually produced an AX under license called the Proton Tiara, which ran from 1996 until 2000. Although they did change certain things, so it wasn't exactly the same. So the Proton Tiara had different grille, bumpers and rear light clusters, and it was only ever sold as the 1.1 litre variant. And also it was only ever sold in Malaysia, because Citroen said, yep, you can have it under license, but you're not going to harm Citroen sales elsewhere. So you've probably never seen one. Now, going back to the AX, you'll probably remember from last week we met the owner, Colin. He owned that Visa. Well, guess what? He also owns this AX as well, which is probably no surprise because they're both incredibly tidy. So before I show you the dash and the door pockets, which I've got something to show you, it's amazing, I wanted to have a catch up with Colin and find out why he bought this car, because it's an incredible car and I just wanted his take on it.
Hi, I'm Colin, and this is my Citroen AX Chicago. Citroens have always been close to my heart because I grew up with Citroens. My dad repaired Citroens, and he used to come home in various Citroens which me and my brother really enjoyed looking at and going out in. When this particular car came up for sale, I got quite excited because it's a Chicago edition. And my brother owned an AX Chicago as his first car, so it was quite nostalgic because of it being a Citroen and because of it being an AX Chicago. So this particular car was in a bit of a bad way, really. It was living near the seaside, so it was quite rusty. And I went to fetch it on a trailer a couple of years ago. It obviously didn't have an MOT. And it was a complete strip down and rebuild. So the engine came out, there was welding that was done to the sills, the inner wings, the rear quarter panel, all of which had quite serious rust on them. I taught myself to weld on this car and learnt the skills associated with that. Obviously the body was stripped and then went to a body shop to be painted. And then it was about bringing it all back together with special attentions to detail. So obviously recreating the Chicago graphics, recreating the dealer number plates, the dealer sticker, tax disc holder, etc. And really making it look like it's just come out of the showroom. The major challenge was sourcing a replacement interior because obviously it's unique to the Chicago model. Although the old seats weren't ripped, they were quite badly faded, so I jumped at the chance when I saw some come up for sale in Holland, and a man shipped them over in a crate for me, and I fitted them this year. So how we approached the project was that I used my dad to help me with the mechanical side of it, and he helped rebuild the engine and replace the head gasket, etc. And looked at the suspension and braking, and then I was doing the more cosmetic work, so I was obviously making sure that the wheels were refurbished, obviously the bodywork was clean and tidy, and obviously the other major job was I had the car up in the air and managed to get all of the underseal stripped off, and then reapplied with some U-Pole Raptor in the same colour as the car.
Now, I was really excited to jump in this car because special editions go one of two ways. You either get the standard car just with a different paint finish and maybe a few decals slapped on the side, or the manufacturer goes all out and does something quite different. So I was really excited when this pulled up and I saw that it was actually quite different. And in fact, they even had their own brochures. Ta-da! We have got the Chicago brochure. I feel like Ed Westby off Twin Cam. Now, this is really nice. It's very 80s, the way that you've got this finished background. But all throughout the brochure, they point out all the different bits and pieces that are on this car that you wouldn't have got if you'd picked any other AX. And in fact, you can see, even when you look at the equipment spec, it's very different to a standard AX. So first of all, when we were looking around the outside, you had the grille to the front that was that chrome finished plastic, and you had the chrome strips running down the side of the car, as well as those alloys and a few other key details. Of course, those decals as well, but that's an obvious. And I was really pleased when I got in this car because that wasn't where this special detail stopped. Because it's these seats that you can see, that you would have seen on the walk round, and you can see as we're in the car now, they are an AX Chicago special. So they weren't used in any other AX, and as far as my knowledge takes me, they weren't used in any other Citroen either. Although if I am wrong, do correct me in the comments section below. And another key factor of these is the dash. So in your standard AX, you would have got grey, unless you'd gone for a GT500 where you would have also got black. So that was quite a special detail as well. So if you think about it sitting on the forecourt next to all the other AXs, it was a real standout special edition. Now, one of the things that I love doing when you take out a Citroen is that Citroen really push the boundaries of bog standard motoring. You always find something special in a Citroen, I find. And one of the things that I found today that I thought was particularly fun, and some manufacturers aren't fun anymore, please be more fun. I love the fact that we've got these massive door pockets on the doors. Now, Citroen, when they went out with the advertising literature, said that you could fit a 2-litre bottle in. So Matt with his tea tray, you could probably get a thermos and a half in there. They are brilliant. Now, looking round the car, it feels very of its time. We have got, instead of a glove box, what I'm now going to refer to as a cassette tape holder, because look how many we've got, and they are perfect for the era. We've got a selection of very good nail tapes, and we've also got Party 88. And I'm not really surprised that's in here because this is a fun car. This isn't something you're going to drive and be listening to pan pipes or something boring. This is a cool and a fun car. And that isn't where the storage stops either, because just under there we have another shelf. And as we come into the middle, we've got the original stereo there. Now, as I understand it, it's unplugged at the moment. And as we come down, we've got this ashtray. Do like the neat little pull-out detail there. Of course, we've got our vents. And down here, you can see that we've got 3 speeds on our heater, so you just see them all laid out there. And this over here, this is the choke. So I'm used to on my cars it being over here, but on this it's over here. Now, coming down here, we've got rear heated screen, hazard lights. Now with this, I thought we should be able to get tapes in, but actually testing with this now 15, really frustratingly, they don't actually fit. Coming in front of us, I wanted to show you what we've got. So we've got 3 dials there. Now, both myself and the cameraman were expecting to see a rev counter because, of course, the car looks so sporty. We thought that's what we were going to find, but instead we have found the clock, the speedo, and of course the fuel gauge, and a very sparse selection of warning lights. But the less warning lights, the less worries. Who cares? There's enough there to know what's going on. If you don't know something's wrong with your car, then you just don't know it well enough. Now, of course, wiper on this is single arm. I'm sure there's a technical name for that, but look, I'm not Ian, I don't know. So there you go, a little bit of wiper action for you there. And for all the people that have been asking for the horn, I'll give you that as well. Quite a cheeky little horn, but it's a cheeky little car. Now, on this arm as well, so we've got our indicators here, and of course, you've got your lights there as well. And on the other arm there, we've just got our wipers as I demonstrated, and our wash there as well. So really, it's quite simple in here, and that is what I love, because simple motoring is the best motoring, because the less that you have to worry about with all these flashing lights like spaceships blithering on, the more you can just enjoy driving. Now I've given you a bit of a whistle stop tour around the inside and hopefully given you a real appreciation for this AX. I'll show you very quickly how the gearbox is. Now we've got 5 gears on this, which is quite nice. So you're going first, second, third, fourth, and then whack it across and up into 5th there. And then we've got reverse. So that's reverse on there for you. A little bit tricky to get into, but easy enough once you've had a go. I wanted to give you a bit of a feel for what this sounds like before we go out driving. So I'm going to get us started up, and this is a 1.1, which we would have known because of course it's got the AX11 badge on the back. Don't worry, I'm not revving a cold car. Now, whilst this car is really cool, what is it going to be like to drive? Because as you'll know from some iDrive Classic videos, some of the cars that look amazing from the outside drive like a bag of spanners once you get out on the road. So we're going to go up through the gearbox, try and get through all those 5 gears, because I want to show you what it's like. And that brings us very swiftly up into 5th gear. Now, one of the really interesting things about the AX is that in the brochures they really boasted not only about how fast you could get up to speed, because they said that you could get from 0 to 60 in under 12 seconds, but also about the fuel economy. So this gets on average, I've been told, between 55 and 60. Now in the brochure I think it's about 73 it states that you can do, but we all know that brochures are always wildly optimistic. But even in a car of this age, to be doing 55, 60 is incredible fuel economy, and in fact it was one of the things that Citroen really wanted to sell with this car. So the suspension has been changed over, and so the ride is a little bit hard. So the previous owner of this did consider turning it into a track car, but of course with it being such a rare model, came to his senses and said, actually, let's do the right thing, let's get this back on the road, and sold it to Colin. So when this came in, it was replacing the Citroen Visa. So this came in 1986, but the Visa ran alongside it until 1988. So it was almost that weird crossover, almost sad period where Citroen said goodbye to some of their earlier, more outlandish designs. The stuff that I really love about early Citroens is that they are so groundbreakingly different and they're not frightened to try stuff. Whereas this feels like a little bit more like it's looked at Peugeot, the sensible cousin, and said, yeah, I'm going to take a leaf out of your book. Now, it handles like a dream. I didn't really know what I thought it was going to handle like. I mean, every Citroen I've taken out, I've really liked. The one thing, of course, is that suspension is quite hard. And as well as that, the pedals are offset. Now, it was something I noticed straight away when I got into the car, is that the pedals are massively off to the left. And Colin, the owner, told me, because I commented on it and said, God, that's really weird. And he actually said to me, he said, well, it isn't so pronounced on the left-hand drive versions, but on the right-hand drive versions, as we're testing here today, it does feel more pronounced. So it's one of those things that's come about as they've swapped it over from left to right-hand drive. The seats are incredibly comfortable, and for everybody saying that stuff of this era rattles and it sounds a bit tinny and it feels a bit unsafe, this really bucks that trend, because even though it has got that plastic dash, there are no rattles or knocks or anything of that ilk in this car. And in fact, it's very, very quiet, even though we have got that sunroof open, which, by the way, was something that they fitted to the Citroen AX Chicago as standard. So with your Citroen AX, I think you are looking at a a few hundred left in the UK, with there only being 2 known examples of the AX Chicago. So what I love about this, I think, is that it's got real small car, first car vibes, and I love cars like that, and it's such a really good example as well, so I feel like I'm getting a really fair experience of what the AX is like. I know, of course, we have got that different suspension, but pretty much everything is as you would expect it to be, excluding the red Saxo seat belts, and it's just a really good driving experience. So even though you've got those pedals offset to the left hand side, and that suspension is a little bit hard, these are things that you quickly get round. The gearbox feels a bit harder than the Metro gearbox. It doesn't feel quite as easily laid out, but look, these are really small things that you soon get your head around once you own a car like this and you start to drive it. It would be a lovely car as well to park, because you've got really good visibility, and because you're sat quite high up, which is hazardous if you've got hair like me, you get a really good all-round view when you're trying to park it, when you're driving it, and I think that builds real driver confidence. So as I finish up this video, it kind of leads me to say really that I've really enjoyed my experience of the AX. I came into it with no expectation. It's a little bit too sensible for my liking. It actually looks like it might be reliable for a start. But I've really enjoyed it. I do like cars of this era. It's not my preferred era, but I do like cars of this era. I love testing them, I love showing you, and what better way to introduce the AX to the channel than with a Chicago special. So if you own an AX, let me know in the comments, because I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been good fun to make, and I hope wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe, because it's a bit of a weird time. And until next Sunday when I see you again, take care and drive safely.